Hi everybody, welcome to part 6 in our study in the book of Galatians. I guess part 6b because you're doing part 6 twice it seems, after a slight miscommunication on my part last week. It's absolutely freezing cold today, so you're just going to have to forgive the outfit. It's Monday, so you know exactly which day I'm talking about because you probably were also freezing. Anyways, on to Galatians. Much of the letter of Galatians hinges around the relationship between Paul, the Galatians, and the troublers, or the false teachers that we've been hearing so much about. Chapter 4 of Galatians starts to spell out some personal anecdotes that Paul wants to put across. We read that on his initial visit, the Galatians warmly received Paul. We don't know the details of the illness that surrounded the reason for his visit, the illness that Paul suffered from, or why it led him to preach the gospel there. But presumably it was something unpleasant for them to deal with. We can only speculate what it was. The Galatians then built up a very good friendship with the apostle, treating him with incredible respect. But now Paul's worried that the Galatians have been stirred up to become anti-Paul. So what Paul does is he takes a really strong stance here because the issue at stake is the truth. He is concerned for the truth of the gospel, for God's free grace, unmerited, undeserved, and unearned. These troublers are not just disturbing a cozy club, they're theologically false, and therefore for Paul, completely intolerable. Paul had seen a group of slaves freed, and now these troublers were persuading them back into slavery. In adopting a life of law-keeping, the Galatians were giving up the freedom that they had found in the gospel of grace. They were giving up their relationship with God, which is where true freedom is really found. Paul can't believe this is happening. What you need to understand is that God promised Abraham that he would heal Sarah's infertility and give them a son of their own, despite their old age. Impatient for a child, Sarah gave her husband a slave girl, Hagar, to breed from, and Hagar gave birth to a son named Ishmael. However, God still fulfilled his promise, and in due time, Isaac was born to Sarah and to Abraham. Now this story is used by Paul figuratively to represent slavery under law-keeping versus freedom under the gospel. Ishmael, although temporarily a son and heir, was always a slave and the son of a slave. His story stands for Mount Sinai, Paul says. That's to say, it stands for the law. Slavery is the symbol of the law. Notice the present position of Israel as far as Paul is concerned. The Jews today, and that includes the state of Israel, as far as Paul is concerned, is actually still under slavery. They're just like Ishmael, because as we saw in part 5, although they're physically sons of Abraham, they're not true sons of Abraham, and therefore they are not heirs. Isaac, however, born of a free woman, is the fulfillment of a promise from God. His story stands for the new covenant, the gospel of the free grace of God in Jesus Christ. Our Jerusalem does not stand on a rocky slope in the state of Israel. Our home is the heavenly Jerusalem, and we, like Isaac, are the children of promise, children of supernatural birth. John chapter 1, verses 12 and 13 says, "Yet to all who received him, to those who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God." Children born not of natural descent, nor of human decision, or a husband's will, but born of God. Friends, I hope that you enjoy your study this evening. I hope there's a lot of meat for you to unpack, and I hope that you really get your hands dirty in trying to get your understanding around these various issues. But most of all, I hope what's clear after a study like this is the desire to be part of freedom, and not to be in danger of going back into slavery. Enjoy your time tonight with your group.